How to create SOPs for small business sales process. Do you want more consistent sales without micromanaging your team? In this video, I will share what the most successful business owners include in their sales procedures. I'll share the key component that will ensure that you will be able to turn sporadic sales into a repeatable machine. By the end of this video, you will know what to do in order to create a workable sales process where every lead is followed up on and every team member knows exactly what to do. So you want revenue stability? In order to do that, you need to have consistent SOPs. You might be thinking, well, in order to have revenue stability, I have to have enough leads coming in, I have to have enough closes, I have to have enough proposals, I have to have enough presentations. Well, you're absolutely right. You have to have all of that. But in order to achieve that abundance or that level of whatever is enough for you, you need to follow a repeatable process. That is what is going to give you the consistency and the stability. Of course, the process has to be correct in order to achieve those results. But if you have the correct process, and we'll talk about what that consists of, you will be able to replicate it every single time. There are key components that every sales process has to have. And those are the best processes I've seen throughout my career of helping entrepreneurs scale their businesses. So what are those steps? I'm going to name them right now. The first one is lead intake. You have to have a procedure on how to take in the lead. Who is responsible of taking that? Like, where is the lead coming from in terms of what is the input? What are the different sources that the leads come into the organization, and how do you handle each one of those sources? How do you handle it? What do you say? Where do you capture it? And yes, a lot of it can be automated, but as you can see in many of my other videos, in order to automate something, you have to know the process first. A good sales process will also include the follow-up. So you figured out how to do the lead intake. Now, what are you going to do in order to follow up with those leads? And that is when I've seen that a lot of things fall through the cracks and where organizations are losing sales because they didn't define their follow-up process. Sometimes they follow up, sometimes they don't, and that is a problem. But if you document it and you enforce it and you make sure that everyone follows the process, you're going to increase the chances of closing more customers just by the sheer repetition of the actions of following up. You also should have a process on how to do the CRM updates. How do you label things? What do you make notes for and what you don't? At what point do you make those notes? How do you move a lead from one stage to another? And even though it can be automated, you still have to have those defined because the people that operate the CRM, that use the CRM, they have to understand what each stage actually means. I'll give you an example. We work with several clients that when we started working with them, their CRM was a complete mess. Now, we are no CRM experts, but we are experts in processes and executing processes and optimizing processes. The reason why it was a mess is because the estimators or the salespeople that were using the CRM didn't really understand each segment or each part of the process. They didn't understand the labels and they didn't understand the stages. Once we define it and we had a specific process on how to move from one stage to another, all of a sudden it made sense. There were actually stages there that had to be eliminated because they didn't mean anything. And then people started using the CRM because they understood what to do. They understood when they need to use it, how to use it, etc. So make sure that you include that. You include in your processes also how to use the technology to ensure that then you can train your staff correctly on the use of that technology. Another key component is how to write proposals. You want to make sure that your proposals are uniform and consistent, especially if you have more than one salesperson or more than one estimator. In order to create that procedure, find out who is the most successful at closing those proposals look at that proposal and figure out what are the best practices and include that as part of your process. Another key component of a good sales process that needs to be documented is what happens after the close. That is where I've seen problems in the handoff between sales and production or sales and fulfillment. So you want to make sure that you have a very good process of handing off the customer or client between sales and fulfillment or operations or production, whatever your business is, and make sure that you give it a lot of thought and attention on how to take care of that new customer or new client once they sign up, as you did when you were selling to them. If you do that, that will ensure a smooth handoff and success of that relationship with that client or customer. So like any other process, the steps in order to create a good process are as follows. Observe, map, document, train, and refine. You have to observe what is working and what is not working. What are the best practices? What are some of the things that you shouldn't do? And yes, do include it in the procedure. Take care to do this and not that, because that is hard-won experience that definitely needs to be documented and utilized. Then you map your processes, and I have several videos about how to do that, so make sure that you subscribe to this channel and check those videos. Then document the processes. Document it so those best practices do not get lost, and document it so you can train others, and document it so you can continuously improve your process. Once you have it documented, you have to train your team on those processes. It's not enough to just document. If you can document and it can sit on a shelf in a binder, or like one of my clients like to term it, it accumulates electronic dust. It's the same concept. It's just somewhere, but nobody is using it. So if no one is using it, there is no point in documenting. You might be saying, well, Adi, this is of course, but don't take it for granted, because I've seen it so many times that the reason why processes are not being followed is because nobody actually read it. So you have to have a specific plan on how to roll it out and how to train others. And then the last part of refining the processes. Processes are living, breathing documents. You don't just do it once and forget about it. There is constant improvement, constant change, and you need to be on top of it and refine them in order to be the best version of you or the best version of your organization. Now, you want to make sure that those processes are executed. So keep them actionable. Think of checklists, not novels. We're not looking for wordy processes that go on and on and on. Simple checklist of all the steps that need to be done with a very concise explanation. It goes a long ways. So if you take the time to document your sales process, you're going to get predictable sales and ability to onboard many more salespeople that will allow you to scale your organization. Sales is just one area where SOPs or standard operating procedures can assure success. In the next video, I'll show you a broader approach to SOPs that can help you optimize and systematize every aspect of your business. I'm Adi, I'm a process consultant, and I've been helping entrepreneurs for over 30 years succeed and scale their businesses. So make sure to subscribe to my channel and watch the rest of the videos.